He was the first leader that the United States would support during the war. So let's see, live chat right there. Yeah, the chat is just not working. I think I toggle the chat. I don't know. Anyway, my online chat is just not working. I should just refresh it there. I have no idea what it's going to do. All right. I have been having trouble with my chat, and it should be working, and I just am not. I'm not getting a chat stream, which is okay. I don't need a chat stream, really. It's just nice to see when you have activity within a stream. It's nice to see that activity, and I don't see it. Try to activate it and deactivate it. All right. Okay, I'm just going to keep it off. It works within the startup screen pretty good. All right, but I am messaging through. So during the course of the stream, if I do have like links and things like that, for example, earlier I was looking for a video called "The Human Family Tree." You guys don't have to worry about that. You guys have another video, but they're many of them are on YouTube through links. So do look for those that way. All right, I'm gonna get out of this test here. Let's go to. I did not message anybody. I did not send any emails out for the stream. The stream the stream link is always through Twitter right there. There's the live link through Twitter. I am not going to email out links. I do not need to. Everybody can find it on my main webpage, and they've been able to do that. And anybody who's been a student of mine should have that knowledge. That's been the case for a long time. All right. So let's see here. Why am I offline here? There we go. Guys, it's really weird. It's been working, but just lots of strangeness today. All right. So U.S. history, let's look at the assignments. Let's go to the dashboard for U.S. history. Probably the biggest problem that U.S. history kids are having is not remembering how to do the breakouts. Or when we did do breakouts, you didn't participate, so you don't know what the heck you're doing. And that's a problem, guys, because what happens if we continue down the path of online curriculum? And the problem is that I have a very large number of kids that are going to be very successful, and I have a very small but very large group of kids that have no clue. They've just believe that things are going to disappear, go away, not actively engaged. But on the other hand, I do have a lot of sympathy for the situation. I have sympathy for kids that just are, using this time to, better themselves. Maybe they're working a job or something, helping their family out. So I'm not. I'm going to talk a little bit about that really quick. Looking at the fact of grades. Grades are going to be on everybody's mind. How am I going to pass? Guys, I have kids that have never once tried or showed up, and to me that's concerning. But this is an unprecedented situation. I have never, as a teacher, since 9/11, have dealt with something in such a very dire. It has such a dire consequence. I mean, people are not working. People are trying to go to work. People are struggling at home. So I'm not going to use this as a time to dig in my heels as a teacher and fail a whole bunch of kids. So know that I am going to use this time as a time to be compassionate. I'm going to use this as a time. I'm going to go ahead and look at the course disclosure really quick. And in the course disclosure, I have certain things that I had agreed upon to do. Things that I guarantee that were philosophies of mine. Now this is not. Why is that not opening up here? Come on here. I have no idea. It was just fine not too long ago. I can get it through. I can get that Google Doc through that course disclosure. Why is that? Let me just click on course disclosure and see if I can get the document to open up. It's not opening through my normal channel. There we go. Okay, so anyway, the course disclosure that I agreed to and you guys signed up to was a no F policy and a half credit policy. And the problem with that, and I'm telling this to all my classes, the problem with that is I'm not going to change it midstream. I'm not going to go, well, the policy was this one time and now it's not. And the other thing is the issue of precedence. Have we had enough time to? Is this a time for me to dig in as a teacher and send a bunch of kids packing that I'm going to have to see next year? And I don't think it's that time. I think this is that time where we're going to need to have a little bit of flexibility, or a lot of flexibility. So I am not changing my participation, my incomplete missing work, and my grading policy in midstream, even though the situation's changed and the district has mandated a change in the grading policy. Basically the cutoff date. I'm just going to make this the cutoff date for grades, or the cutoff percentage for grades is like 11% or something like that. But I have never given a grade that low in, I don't know, probably 15 years. So it's not something I'm going to start now. So a lot of teachers are struggling with this right now, and I'm not going to fight that battle because I don't think it needs to be fought at this point. I think the battle is next fall, and what I want you to understand is starting next fall, there will be a change in policy. This policy here will not be the policy that I have anymore. I'm going to move to a regular traditional grading policy once again, and it will be possible to to have a lower grade than you want. I will not give any credit at all for missing work and that kind of thing. I'm not going to put in placeholders or that kind of thing. So understand that what happens today is not what's going to happen in the fall. The fall, I am stepping up my game. I am changing this whole disclosure. I am going back to old school, and you will have to get things done. It's just that we're just going to basically put it that way. You're going to have to make decisions, and those decisions are going to be bearing on you retaking classes and getting credits and things like that. So whether we're at school in a traditional setting or we're in a modified traditional setting, you will have to get things done. So all these expectations in this course sheet is going to be completely revamped. So there you go, guys. Some of you guys dodged a bullet, but on the other hand, all you're going to get is a P. P means nothing. A P basically says, hey, I don't know what a P actually stands for. To me, it doesn't mean pass because you're less than a C. So you didn't learn the material. We're just basically moving you ahead. But on the other hand, C through A, you guys will have a meaningful grade based upon what you did. So yes, A's will matter. So if you have worked your tail off and you got an A through this period of time, it's amazing. I think it's it was well earned. I think you did a lot of things that will distinguish yourself in the future, and I really appreciate that. So you guys that made it through all your modules, that worked through from the general information section all the way down through today's assignment, which is down here in the draft lottery. So hopefully you caught some interest in this assignment. I think it's something as a kid I was very interested in because I was reaching draft age. In 1986, my class was the first one to have to re-register for a modern peacetime draft. We were the first selective service kids, and if we did not successfully register for the selective service, we would not be able to get Pell Grants and all kinds of government loans to continue our education. So, but let's look at the draft lottery assignment. All right. So the draft lottery. And this is, I thought this really turned out good. I'm definitely going to use this. If I were to not have rewritten this assignment in its current form, I am very happy with it. I really like this assignment and what in the information that allows you to basically gain through a little bit of inquiry. So it says there were about 8 million. That is so many soldiers, guys. Just to give you a number, there were 8,744,000 service members between 1964 and 70. That was the entire amount of possible soldiers available during the American Civil War. About 8 million could have served. Just to give you an idea. But since the American Civil War, we've increased that by 8 times, something like that. Let's see, 4, 5. No, not that many. 3, 4 times. Yeah, 4 times. A little more than 4 times. So there are probably, now this is 27 million draftable kids. More than likely, that's more in the 30 million range today, maybe more. Probably 30 to 40 million children or kids will be of draft age. Which makes the lottery even that much more difficult to ever get chosen in an American peacetime draft. If we did a peacetime draft today to put together an army of, say, 2 million men, the odds of you being drafted are very low. The draft lottery numbers would be much lower in how they were chosen. There were about 259 numbers that were pulled from the draft boards. They had little blue pills, and inside was a number. So they just put these plastic pills inside of a bin. They pulled them open, opened it up, and pulled out the numbers, and they pinned them on a board. And that was the draft number, and that was a specific date. On the calendar. Now you have to understand, the choices, the calendar choices, but think about the numbers of kids that have birthdays on any single date on the calendar. And that makes for a very large number of people. So for your birth date specifically to be picked and then have all those kids be cycled through selective service would be the odds of you being drafted today are astronomically high. But 8,744,000 service members between 1964 and 75, of whom 3,403,000 were deployed to Southeast Asia. So even if you were drafted, only a little less than half went to Vietnam. But if you were drafted, more than likely you did go to Vietnam, especially if you were basically unable to prove that you had any kind of special skill. A friend of our family's was drafted right at the very end of the Vietnam War. I remember this as a kid. And I remember him coming back because he broke his leg and he was released from the service in the United States, I think, Army. And he had broken his leg skiing. So he was not in Southeast Asia. He was in Germany, basically in the American Mountain Divisions. I don't remember I can't remember what our mountain. We have a division that basically is a ski patrol based, and he was a skier. So he said, "Hey, I can ski. Can anybody ski here?" So that got him out of having to go to Southeast Asia. He ended up going to Europe and broke his leg skiing. More than likely, he was having fun skiing down the Alps in military garb, and broke his leg, broke his ankle or something like that. So let's see. many soldiers received what they called military deferments. It says from a pool of approximately 27 million, the draft raised 2.215 million men for military service. It says that, now, why the lottery? And that's really the question. Why did they go towards the lottery? In 1969, the lottery was changed. And the reason why it was changed was because if you had enough money, power, and influence, you could get out of being selected and you were given a college deferment. So rich college kids or kids with the ability to pay stayed in school, and they stayed in school as long as they could, because every day in school was one day less that the war was going on, and one day less that you would probably have to go to Vietnam. So there was a lot of different ways kids came out. Now, once again, if you think about that, discriminators. The 1970s were a time of turmoil in the United States. 68, 69, 70, there were two assassinations of world leaders. Martin Luther King, you got Robert Kennedy, who was killed in 1968. So you got all these peace and civil rights movements going on. And you've got riots going on at the Democratic National Convention because of the election of 1968. It's crazy in America. But to add more soldiers, I mean, there were over 500,000 American soldiers serving in Vietnam. And of course, nobody wanted to go, especially when you get into 68, 69, and 70, when the news reports say, hey, there's a lot of guys dying and we're not any closer to the end of the war than when we were in 1964. So in 1969, all over the United States, people decreed discrimination by the draft. They said that it's basically a draft of low-educated, low-income, underprivileged members of society. So to counter that, the government said, okay, we are going to limit and or get rid of all deferments. You can't be deferred anymore. If you get called, you go. And that was the change of the draft system in 1970. So in 1969, they initiated the new rules. And they basically said that we're going to make it equal. And that means that the rich kids are going to go to Vietnam. The poor kids are going to go to Vietnam. And they instituted these draft days. This is the first one in 1970. This is the draft card from 1970. And if you find your birthday on here, for example, here's my birthday, April 17th. My draft number for 1970, for the 1969 draft, for the 1970 kids, was 260. The cutoff date, the last number pulled for 1970 was 259. I would have missed it by one number. So I would have not gone to Vietnam in 1970. Let's check in 1971. There's April 17th, 1971. My draft number was 264. I once again would have not gone to Vietnam in 1971. Let's check 1972. April 17th. My draft number is 251. So my luck might have run out in 1972. Now, problem. In 1972, it was the height of, we're talking guys just not doing anything they were supposed to do. I mean, there would be direct orders that were given to full units, and there would be complete units that would just totally ignore it because we were pulling out in large numbers. So by 251, I more than likely would have gone to Vietnam. I more than likely would have sat around a lot, and I wouldn't have done much there. Most of the years of fighting would have been over by that time. It would have been a huge inconvenience for my life. But in April of 1972, the one problem was in April of 1972, I was 5. So I couldn't have been drafted anyway. But if I would have, that would have been the year I would have gone. That was the closest. Let's look at 1974. Look at my birth date, April 17th. My draft. Let's see. My draft number is 330. Once again, I do not go to Vietnam. And let's look at 1976. Now the war has been over. We're just basically filling in space right now. My draft number once again is 264. Once again, I would have not gone to Vietnam. Were many dates that were very unlucky. If you were born in November, I believe. Let's see, November. Let's see. Oh, let's see. I can't. What is the low? Where are the low numbers here? What months? The problem was they rolled them around. Looks like April was not good. I just happened to be at the right date. There's 80 and 101, 36, 47, 31, 5. You're pretty much screwed if you have a draft number of 5. You're an A1 draftee. So what I want you to do is this. This is the assignment. Okay, I want you to take your birthday. I want you to assume you're of draft age. That means you're 18 by that day. And I want you to go through and then finally decide what year would you be most likely have been drafted? What year of the war? Was it now if you're 70, 71, 7, if you're 70, 71, the war still there's a lot of fighting going on still. There's no major operations. Or that's not true. Very disenfranchised. They're there and they're just like, I'm not going to pick up my gun. I'm not going to shoot anybody. I'm not going to. So you get into that. And the draft number was what? Okay, remember 259 is the number that I want you to think about. Okay. And I put up there, I said, if you were lower than 260, you pretty much would not have gone or excuse me, if you were higher than 260. Wow. Hold on here. I got to change that. That's messed up. Oh boy, that's a mistake. If you were higher than number 260, that is wrong. I'm glad I checked these things. All right. Oh boy, let's see. I make mistakes, guys. If you were higher, let's see. Get that out of there. Gosh, I hope that didn't confuse anybody. Oh boy. All right, we'll save that. I'm surprised I didn't get an email about that. Usually one of you bright spots of my life, you guys will tell me right away. It says, hey, Mr. Goebel, didn't that mean if you had a lower number? No. Yeah, lower numbers were bad. Higher numbers were good. Oh boy. All right. Okay. Would you have gone? What have you have done to avoid going to Vietnam? So I want you to look up Vietnam War draft deferments. Okay. Look it up. What way could you have gotten out of the war? Well, one is to have influence. Okay. If your dad worked for a major military manufacturer, maybe you could get a cushy job in the military defense industry at home. The other one is politics. Your parents could be politicians. They could talk to their local draft boards. There are a lot of ways kids were given free passes out. Air National Guard appointments, anything that allowed you to stay close to home. Deployments to countries that you knew were not going to be at war. So being sent to Europe as opposed to Vietnam. Many people rotated into Europe and then to Vietnam for their time. But most people went through California, then to Hawaii, and then to Southeast Asia. But really good information and an interesting assignment. So hopefully that's where we're going to end up. Okay, so check through that. Okay, now, any questions about that? Hopefully I fixed that one problem. Just make sure you check that number out. I didn't screw that one up. So I should probably, I need to higher than, I need to hear, let me highlight that right there in color. And that will be helpful. I'm going to highlight that part of the assignment. Right there. Higher than 260. And let's make that red. I'm going to see if your draft number was, all right. Okay. All right. Forget what my dad's draft number was. It was I think he still has his draft card somewhere. I think I might have run into it. I think it was one of those things that you wanted to keep around. A lot of kids burned them. Once they knew they were not going to, it was illegal to do that. My dad received a deferment in 1966. If my dad would have been drafted into the Army in 1966, he would have gone to Vietnam, and hopefully he wouldn't have died. And but my sister was born in 1966 when he graduated, and he would have gone in 1967, and that's when the huge amounts of soldiers were that's when the deployments increased by a lot. There were a lot of big military operations during those times. The likelihood of you being killed, wounded at that time very much increased. So I am so grateful for that. My sister was born. But not all people got out of that way, because once you 67, 68, so 3 years later, the deferments would go. And I think each year my grandfather had to declare the deferments of his kids that were working on his farm. And my dad was a farm kid. He was in college, but he was a farm kid through those years. All right. Let's go back to the breakout game, and I'm going to give you a couple of things about how to do and complete the breakout game. A lot of kids, like I said, did not pay attention. Now, this was not an easy breakout. I'm just going to tell you that right away. Breakouts are not easy. They're very difficult. The breakout game is based on this link. It says, okay, now this is the assignment, and a lot of people forgot the assignment. What is the meaning of the wall based on the evidence you find in the locks? So some people wrote about the meaning, but they didn't tell me anything about any of the lock answers. Okay, that was a number one mistake. Write and submit a short paragraph from lock evidence about the legacy of Vietnam War. Now, lock evidence. Did you have to find all the answers to get lock evidence? No. You just had to read through the screens. You had to read through the breakout. So I'll give you an example. Let's just go to the breakout game. You didn't have to get one single answer to answer those questions. Now, a lot of kids forgot about how to get in, and the breakout game is based upon this. This is just a place to see if your answers were correct, if you're able to find them. That was the locks. But these are the answers that you're looking for. You see where the finger basically, let's go and click on that location of that picture. And this is a section on Ho Chi Minh. It says, Ho Chi Minh was the leader of Vietnam for many years. He wished to see Vietnam united as an independent country rather than a colony of France. He worked many jobs throughout his life, the photo retoucher, spy, and finally politician. So he did all those things. He doctored up photos. He was an expert at propaganda, I guess. He vowed that Vietnam would never be conquered, no matter what the cost. Eventually, the Vietnam War ended, but Ho Chi Minh did not see that ending, so he dies during the war. So, what you could do in your document, you say that the legacy of the Vietnam War memorial is to do with the resolve of the Vietnamese people under the leadership of Ho Chi Minh. Now, you didn't have to go and find one answer to make that. So let's click on him. So you see that if you remember how the locks work. The pictures had information within them. So here's basically the eye of Ho Chi Minh. I'm going to click on that. And this gives us a bunch of information about, it says, this gives you his some of the things, like they called him Uncle Ho. I would have used that as a possible answer. So we're looking for dates. We're looking for specific words, and that help us understand a little bit about him. Let's see. So 1890, he was basically born. Let's see. Ho worked as a photo retoucher. He indulged in one luxury: American cigarettes, preferably Camels or Lucky Strikes. So he liked to smoke. Usually the answers to um, these specific locks come at the end of of the of the clue. Okay, it's at the very end. Let's see. He died 1969, age of 79. So September 2nd, 19. I don't know if that date has anything to do with one of your locks. Okay. You can. These are the things you have to try, and once you try them, you write them down. This did not work. Okay. All right. Ho Chi Minh, roughly, bringer of light. All these are things about Ho Chi Minh. And now, if say we can't find this answer, okay. So what we need to do, we can't find an answer, is we need to find other answers, and we need to it'll help us narrow down what we're looking for. So if we know we're looking for a number, we can narrow it down that we're looking for a number within this, or a date. If we're looking for a date, that's easy, right? So one of the answers that I told you would be very difficult to find, okay? I'm just going to get right to the one that's hard, is the Kent State protest one. This one is really hard. And of course, it talks about the protests, and they're protesting over the military draft. Okay, we were just talking about the draft. So I'm going to give, this is one of the answers. So in this photograph, there is another link, and that's this lady's face. And usually you know that once you've clicked on a face, you're in a place where an answer can be found. Now, this video does not necessarily get you quite where you need to go. This one was deceptive. This was the only answer that I would say would be very difficult unless you were extremely motivated, maybe a group of people working together. This was not easy at all. And it talked about the draft. Okay. It talked about draft, how it was made. And it talked about what draft classifications were. And that's where I don't want to play this much because
most of the men chosen were from poor and working class backgrounds, people of color, and people from rural
so this gets
towns
into
and
draft
farming communities.
classifications now.
Draft boards would frequently defer middle class men, who they would see as having valuable futures, and the upper classes were barely.
So I'm going to leave it right there. I'm not going to go any further because I don't want to have the stream cut. But you get into classification. So if you are a highly classified draftee, meaning that you would, they gave you basically a marker based upon your health, your status of religion, your background in, whether you're a conscious objector or not. There's a lot of different factors that could have brought you into the war or would have excused you from military service, your job, your technical ability, those kinds of things. But if you were classified at a high level, you were class A1. Okay, A1 was the highest class of draftee. So A1 or 1A, 1A was the highest class. Was the highest draft class, and the lowest draft class was class 4F. So if you have a 4F, was the lowest. That's what you wanted. Okay. If you didn't want to go to Vietnam, you wanted to be classified 4F. If you put a 4F on you, you just smiled and you walked out that day. So the answer to the question goes for this question is basically a combination of the two, and what it asks you is letters, and the question is what letters were, what four-letter word, and the problem with this is there's two numbers in it, so it makes it deceptive. Okay, so the answer to this one was 1A, and that's the hardest one, guys. The rest of them are not this hard, not even close, but your answer is basically this one right here. 1A 4F, okay, which is your four-letter word. on the breakout. Okay, so that's an answer that I'm giving out right now. So if you go back to the Vietnam Memorial breakout, you go to the 4-letter lock and you put in 1A, 4F. It works. Okay. Oh, that's not it. That's 4 digits. Sorry, wrong. Yeah, there's a 4-letter, all capitals. There it is right there. Okay. And that works in there. Now, the rest of them are not that way. So now you have this one eliminated. So you know there's no more 4-letter words in the rest of the game that you will need to look for. Okay. Chat is closed. Oh my gosh, I have no idea. Let me just turn that sucker off. I don't know why my chat's closed. I'm gonna pop out the chat again. All right, so I'm gonna see if I can get that puppy back in here. Hold on. I'm gonna get the chat on here. I'm trying. There it is. So highest and lowest. Hold on, let me get that. All right, I'm just gonna put the answer in like that. All right, hopefully that pops in there. There it is. All right, whew, it's working now. So there we go. All right, so that's the 4-letter tiered word. Okay, let's look for another one. Let's go ahead and pop in there. So let's go to another spot or position. So this is the answer. So we cross out this part. We're not going to look at the middle. Now we're going to look at this part of the helicopter right here, the rotor, the Tet Offensive. Okay, the Tet Offensive was seen as a turning point in the war. It included battles in 13 different cities. This happened in 1968. Okay, so more than likely there's a link that in this picture that we are going to have to find. That is going to get us to another spot. So I'm going to have to go and there it is right there. General Giap was the mastermind of North Vietnam.
Crispy chicken.
I put in the 1968 as one of my dates.
Cheddar. Creamy ranch.
Oops.
Do your eye.
I got to turn something off here. I've got here. Let's get that. I got to turn that off. We're getting a commercial popping through. We turn Kent State off.
Eyes deceive you? No, that's exactly what you're looking at.
Oh,
They're
boy.
gazing upon Arby's new chicken cheddar ranch. What else do they?
Commercial here. Unbelievable. All right. Okay, so these are the words that I start popping. So February 1968, I start throwing these dates in. Okay. I believe the answer has to do with one of the locations for where the fighting. You got the Paven, the People's Army of Vietnam. You got Khe Sanh. These are all places that were attacked. And remember, the battles that towards the end, or the information towards the end, tends to be where the answers are. But this talks about a battle for the particularly intense fighting took place in the city of Hue, H-U-E. Okay, a lot of people call it Hue, but it's Hue. And it was the old imperial capital. So in the olden days, this used to be the capital of Vietnam, H-U-E, Hue. And of course, that happens to be 3 letters. Okay. Now remember, there's a lot of other numbers that you're going to try in here. Arvin, Pavin. I tried all these. Tet, T-E-T. I even tried that. But since it was the Tet Offensive, but Hue is one of the locations. I'm going to go ahead and try that. And I believe it's the 3-letter lock, H-U-E. I'm going to put that there, and that it was it. So we know that this part of the helicopter and this part of the helicopter have answers. So H-U-E is the 3-letter lock right there. All right, so that's one of them. And like I said, this all takes time, and I know there's in life you got to struggle, and some kids aren't ready to struggle as hard. Gulf of Tonkin incident. This could be a date, okay? But these are tough, man. That's why I give you these types of assignments. Now let's look at the Gulf of Tonkin document. And right there, it now I can click on the link. It's Lyndon Johnson. It's his name. So it has something to do with him. And the document contains a code word material. Oh, so it's a coded letter. So in here we have codes. Okay. And this was one that I think it took me a while to find. 345. That was I think that was the coded name. The vessel's name, the DeSoto, the destroyer. So I'm going to try a lot of those, but secret, it says Kimbo, Kimbo. So that's how many letters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 letters. These are all coded code words. So I'm going to look. Remember, always try to go to the end. This is from the Library of Congress. Let's see, indications that SWATO and 2 elements of the MTB squadron, which are anchored at, so SWATO is another code word. So we got Kimbo, and we got SWATOW, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a 6-letter lock. So let's look back at that and see if any of these fit. We've got in our list, we've got a 6. There's a 6-letter. Are there any? Okay, let's try Kimbo and SWATO in here. So I've got KIMBO. That's not enough. So SWATO I think has one more letter. SWATO. 1, 2. Let's see. 1, 2. I don't know if I spelled that right. That's not right. That's 5. Is there a 5 date? Let's go down here. There's 4. 13. That's 4-digit. Let me see if I got that right. I think I spelled that wrong. Maybe it's one of those. SWATOW. That's why I got it wrong. I'm spelling it wrong. SWAT. It's SWATO with a W. Yeah, there it is right there. So SWATO is the code name of the ship that was basically that was involved in what they call the Gulf of Tonkin incident. So SWATO. And let me put the W on there, is the 6-letter lock. Okay, and it's a 6-letter lock, and it's Gulf of Tonkin. So that just helps us identify the location. All right. Okay, so I've given you quite a few answers. I've given you the breakout. I've given you the 4-letter lock. I've given you Hue and SWATO. So we got quite a few in there. Find the rest. We still have to do this helicopter here. You have to do this helicopter here, and then the man's head. So those 3 are what you have left. So this helicopter is landmines. That one will be easy. I suggest you start there, and you find there's the pin for the landmine right there, and there's landmines all over the place in Vietnam. They were laid by both America and the French and the North Vietnamese and the South Vietnamese. They're everywhere. Okay. So check out landmines. Check out that one. I suggest you go there like right away. That's an easy one to get. Go to the end. Remember, click all the way through. Go to the end of that one. So that one's about landmines. And this one here is about Saigon, the fall of Saigon. There's an operation for the fall of Saigon. What was that called? So this basically, there's this white bag of this guy. And then find out the name of the operation. 1975 Saigon Falls. Okay. So in 1974, you could have been drafted and sent to the war. In 1975, you could have been in the military and you could have been aiding in the defense. And these are people jumping over the wall of the embassy, American embassy there. But go through, remember, all the way through. Look at the timeline here. And the name of the operation that was basically put together to evacuate Vietnam. Okay, all right. So that's it. I've given you pretty much a ton of different things right there. I've given you a lot of information to help you get through that. Please, guys, that's where the conversation needs to start. Remember, you guys can help each other. One of the biggest mistakes you make is you don't phone a friend. Talk to each other out there. You don't have to go visit each other. You can talk to each other through the many ways that you can talk to each other. You can, make a phone call. You can voice chat. You can set up a little meeting of your own. Put a little Zoom group together. But you can get this stuff done. Okay, you can do this stuff. Don't give up. And if you do, in probably the best questions I've received about these assignments have been concerning. I can't remember how to do this, and could you please refresh me as to how we go about doing because you do forget these things. So they're not something that you use every day, but it requires great inquiry, basically steadfastness. It requires you to not give up, and it's only one assignment, right? All right, so most of you guys can get through, find some answers, and I thought I would do that today. Alrighty. Okay, remember, guys, you want a better grade than what you're sitting at looking right now? Get that work in. Next week is going to all be about what do I need to do to get an A. All right, that's all next week. What can I do to improve my grade? A P I'm not happy with a P. Is it possible for me to get through all this work? Yeah, it sure is, and I will be grading it. All right, I'm going to spend all day. I'll get over all the assignments graded today. I'm going to take a quick break, though, guys. I've got a few minutes before my last group comes in, my World Civ kids. So World Civ is up next. And I will see you guys later. Please send me anything you need to send me, any questions you need to ask. But you want an A, guys. You're gonna have to submit some things. That's fine. I have no problem with that. I don't know if we're gonna have a quiz. More than likely, I'm thinking not right now, but it's a long week. This assignment that we have with the draft lottery is pretty easy, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a 10-point quiz on civil rights in Vietnam. 10 points is not too much. All right, so break time for me later, and bye.
Perfect.
All right. Voice. We're good there. All right. Okay, guys. Last group of the day. World Civ. We probably won't have to go too long today. I don't think we've had pretty smooth sailing. The biggest messages I have today are based on are based on just how we proceed. Let me get that camera there to focus in. On camera. There we go. How we proceed forward, grading, those kinds of things. I do worry about the sophomores of this class. We've kind of got into a kind of a tough situation as far as habits, and I'm really worried about next fall. And everything right now is going to help us go into next fall. So let me take the chat stream down there. So when I think of sophomores right now, I'm thinking of what is going to be the best way for you to carry yourself into the fall. And one of the things is just getting used to these live streams, getting used to offsite learning because I just don't see us having the same contact that we had in the past. So we're going to have different types of teacher time, and some of that teacher time is going to be away from school. I'm assuming things right now because I think the only thing that will get us back into a classroom with 35 kids all sitting next to each other is a miracle. So, and it doesn't mean that miracles can't happen, but sometimes in our society, miracles come at slow progress. I was thinking, we were talking about this at dinner time the other day, and I kind of equate it to seatbelts. It took a long time for when the seatbelt laws were first enacted. It took forever. I remember going, "What? I got to wear seatbelts?" I was driving guys without seatbelts. I mean, at the beginning, and the seatbelt laws didn't become kind of like pushed until well into my driving. I mean, the middle '80s, something like that. So we fought against it, but now I don't get in the car without a seatbelt, and it's just that's kind of the changing of philosophy. It's I think school, I think life, I think wearing masks is going to be something we're going to have to tolerate, and it's going to be like wearing seatbelts. We're just going to have to get used to the change. You're going to have to embrace it. Some people are not going to embrace it fast, and I'm not saying that that's going to be the case, but this fall will definitely be some version of what we're already basically feeling, because I don't see Personally, I don't see this being totally over then, but we'll be definitely in a transition. We'll be in a transition from being more guarded, that kind of thing. All right. But what do we do with our grades? That's kind of what I'm going to talk about here in a minute. You like that? I love green screen because it makes things invisible. You see that right there? You can see it now. Anyway. All right. So I'll just look really quick at my grading policy. And one thing that I'm going to tell you I'm not changing is my 50% policy. So my 50% policy is remaining the same. I'm getting some messages come through here, so double check, make sure that the sky's not falling. I've got a quandary with grades because I've got a bunch of kids that didn't participate, and that's not good because you see how this disclosure agreement is now. I'm going to reword it, and I'm taking away this section right here, the missing incomplete participation citizenship. This is all going to be revamped. There will no longer be no zero grading. That means that I will start putting zeros back on the grade book. I'm going to change the grading numbers a bit, and go to a more traditional system. And I need to do that because of grade integrity. We need to bring grade integrity back, and make sure that kids understand that we need to move forward. We need to progress now, and we've had time to acclimate, and now we need to educate. So know that that's going to change. You take my class next year, and it's not going to be like this year. How we started this year, it's not going to be the same. So just be prepared for that. You guys that have already been on a regular basis participating, you've been getting things done, you'll receive a traditional letter grade. If you're below a C, you will not get a traditional letter grade. You will get a P. And a P does not help your GPA. And I am not going to change that P. That will be the only thing that I stand fast on. So say you're going to college and you need a GPA and a adjustment, and you could have easily got an A in my class. You didn't get an A, and it's not going to help your GPA at all. So, but it's not in a way. It's not going to impact on it negatively. I mean, if they look at you're taking pass-fail classes, but a lot of people will understand the situation that we were in this year. So it's not. I don't see either way. I just wanted to make sure I did not unduly lay burden on people because of what we're facing. It was none of our choices what happened, and I'm not going to add to the misery of you guys. So just know that that's my view on it. The district has mandated I think 11% or something like that as the low end. Could I easily change all the grades to below 11%? Absolutely, because there's people that did nothing. I mean, I could actually just make it 0.00%, but I'm not doing that. I just don't think at this time it's right to do that, but next year I will. Starting in the fall, this document that you're looking here will be a new document. I'm going to take this, I'm going to retype it, and I'm going to put down my new philosophy based upon the new situation. I need to put some hot links in there anyway. I'm going to make some things in there so you can click on them. So I'll put a document in there with some interactivity. So this is just a PDF that doesn't do much of anything. But just know that I really appreciate you guys that have towed the line, that have moved forward in this, and have been successful accomplishing tasks that I've laid out during this period of time. And we got a few assignments to grade there, not too many. But please, I just want to let you know that. But understand that your effort is rewarded. It will be rewarded. All right. So Tang and Song dynasties. This is the last half of what they call the Golden Age. We cannot forget China, medieval China. Medieval China was extremely powerful. There are so many innovations that the Chinese basically shared with us during that time. It was a massive amount of cultural sharing, and tons of intellectual capital was shared throughout throughout the world. So let's look at that. Let's look at the Tang and Song dynasties. Look at this assignment. I basically looked at a couple of different things. I did put a video in there, so hopefully you like that video. It's kind of interesting. It's a new one. I took out another video, but these are some innovations. Okay, look, and now below are the descriptions, and above are the innovations. So right here, that right there would be waterways. Okay, right there. So if you want to see how to use it, and then there's the Chinese words for waterways. Okay, basically canal. This is pretty cool, guys. I mean, read this stuff. This is unbelievable. 150,000 civilians basically dug a 1,100 mile long canal. 1,100 miles. It's like halfway across the United States. Okay, so just understand that that's just amazing stuff. I am always amazed at the numbers that the Chinese put out. Right there is another innovation. Go down to the next one. Paper money. Like what? The Chinese? Yeah. Paper money. They were the first to print it. They were the first to really have a printing success. And you look at it, it says 1024, the Song government took over the printing of paper money, began to issue official certificates, okay, which were used as currency. And then they would restamp them to officiate them. So as they're used, they were restamped and they were put back into, and they equaled a certain amount of copper or silver. So they were based in some kind of metal. So you would go to a government place, you would give them some copper or silver, they would weigh it, and then they would give you paper that represented that. You would take that paper and then you would use that paper just like we use money today. So pretty cool. Now, what's the assignment? It says above are a list of descriptions, images of the Tang and Song Chinese technologies that changed the world we know today. Many of these technologies are still important today. Make a top 5 list. Number 1, your most significant, to number 5, your most, to number 5. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, top 5 list. Okay, I was going to do top 10. I thought that was too much. I'd rather have you embellish on 5 things than 10 things. It says for each technology, you write a short explanation as to why this technology was the most significant. Okay, don't just give me a list. You give me a list, I'll give you 50% credit. Okay. Make sure you do a good explanation of each of those. And those kids that don't listen to the live stream, they don't pay attention to this. They don't get the information. They're going to have to suffer the consequences for that. But make sure you do that, and then go through those any of those items. So I just check them all out. Ooh, there's smallpox. That's nasty. There's the Great Wall of China. So we got smallpox. That's smallpox inoculation. Now that's a big deal. Guys, that is the basis of how we basically fight against diseases today. So that's pretty amazing. And then the Great Wall of China. The Great Wall was not just built, it was rebuilt and rebuilt. 3,665 miles long. Okay, look at that. And just look at and then this right here is coal and iron production. We learned a little bit about Gupta India, but China was making tons and tons of cast iron in the basically the late, they call it the Middle Ages. Okay, before 1200 and after 500. So you get that time period. After 500 is the fall of the Roman Empire, and before 1200 you got the Age of Discovery going on. You got people traveling and discovering the Americas and that kind of thing. So check that out. 125,000 tons of iron were being produced each year in 1078. Ship anchors, bridges, gates, pagodas, Buddhist statues. And we know that India was also, but think about their neighbors. They're close by. And then You've got this right here. That's the counting device, the computer, the abacus. So, have fun with these things. There's the clock. There's the first mechanical clock. Oops, let's go down there. Paper money. Let's go down here. And then there's the that's the Song Dynasty clock right there. So go through that list and get your top 5, okay? And that's all you have to do. And I give you 20 points for each of those specific things. So take care of that. And that's the easiest assignment now. The only thing you have to do after that is I want you to review the quarter. Or review the unit. And that's a short quiz. So the other thing that I'm asking you to do this week is to take this quiz. Remember, you can take the quiz 3 times. And during any of those 3 times, you can in between go through the Quizlet, look through the answers that you didn't get, that kind of thing. So go through that. The Golden Age quiz right there. Looks like this. It's got the map of the Mediterranean, and you've got the spread of Islam that's going on there. Remember, we covered the rise of Islam. We covered African trade kingdoms. We covered the Gupta Empire under India, and we also looked at China. Okay, so those things right there, 26 points. All right, 26 points. Let's look at the test since you're here, right? So here's remember that this test here is also on Quizlet. So probably the study right there, it says use the study guide to prep for this quiz. You can click on that right there and bang, there's your Quizlet. All right. And it goes over, there's the Emperor Justinian and Constantine and the Hagia Sophia and Islam. I mean, that goes way back. Okay, crap, that's when we started this whole thing. Quran, the 5 pillars of Islam, Eastern Orthodoxy, Roman. Remember, the Roman Catholic Church divided in the Great Schism, divided in half between the Eastern Orthodox Church and that can marry. You're a priest in the Eastern Orthodox Church. You're not celibate, and then the Roman Catholic, and they spoke Latin, where the Eastern Orthodox, they speak Greek. Prophet Muhammad, vaccination, Gupta, Sanskrit, infinity, the idea of infinite numbers. And if you believe in certain religious ideas like Hinduism, reincarnation and infinity and wisdom are all part of that. The decimal system, okay? This idea is you can have part of something. You can have a fraction of something. And fractions are important, especially when you get into science. When you get into dividing things up like land, and you get into fractions of things. Ghana, the African trade kingdoms, the kingdom of gold, the land of gold. Timbuktu, the capital of Mali. Bantu, the migration of people in southern Africa. So on the top you have Saharan Africa, which is basically based on the gold, iron, and salt trade, and the southern Africa is based on the spreading of language, the development of agriculture, because you can do it down there. And then animism. I didn't talk at all about animism. This is where we usually make the masks, the African mask. We couldn't do that this year. No African mask for you guys. These are some innovations of the Chinese. We got the compass. We've got movable type. These are all things from the assignment for this week. The abacus, the counting device. The invention of gunpowder. Yes, you get guns and rockets and all kinds of cool stuff. The Silk Road, the trading between the old Roman Empire and the Asian empires. The Byzantines, and then you go right through the Byzantine Empire to make that trade. And the growth of modern day Turkey, the rise of Islam, and of course the Golden Age of all this stuff going on. And yes, karma. What you do matters. Okay, you can build up goodwill, and you can build a reputation. I call karma like a reputation. Hinduism, religion. And Buddhism, you've got the Buddhism is a splintering of Hinduism. I didn't get a chance to spend much time on that with you guys. But Buddha is basically a character that looked at Hinduism, thought it was unfair that wealthy people would basically dominate the world, and that just because you're born into this caste, that you were an outcast. You weren't given the same. You didn't have the same spiritual like laws and rules that governed and guided you. So look at those things there. The Four Noble Truths of Buddhism. Didn't spend much time with that. Please check through the Buddhism stuff. And if you just look at this, it's all about basically overcoming your attachments to things. Okay. So do the best you can through Buddhism. The scores are not going to are going to reflect. Remember, you can take it a couple times, and then there's the water clock right there. The Susong's water clock. All right, 30 feet tall. Had all kinds of moving parts, I can imagine. Look at that. It's on an elephant. All right. All righty, guys. I told you I was going to take just a small amount of time, and that's exactly what I did. You do not need to have me to explain things any more than I've already done. So make sure that you take your time through that quiz. Leave that right there. And one of the things that could help you a little bit, go through, there's Islam and its followers. Right down here where it says Buddhism, I suggest you go through this PowerPoint right there. There's also a video. Okay. If you could, watch these two videos, okay? This video here, which is the Indian version, 10 facts about Hinduism. All right. I suggest you check that one out, and that will give you a really good basis for you to take the quiz. And then look at this video here on Buddhism, and it'll give you this is Hip Hughes' history, and he'll tell you a little bit about the basics of Buddhism. Okay, and he'll talk about that, and he's all right. So he goes through and talks about that stuff. Hip Hughes, I like him. All right, so guys, do the best you can. This is the last assignment you're going to have to do for me this quarter. The next live stream, which will probably happen, I'm thinking I'm going to do a short live stream next Tuesday. And on that Tuesday, we're going to talk about final grades. I'm going to talk about things that I'm seeing on the grade book, because I'll have a couple more days to help you with that. Hopefully we get assignments coming in all the way through this weekend, and we get a good flow of things, and everybody starts to get caught up, because you'll know at this point that I'm not going to add anything for sure. I'm telling you, there's going to be no more quizzes, no more anything coming your way. My U.S. kids have a little bit. I have possibly a quiz going to be thrown at them, but you guys are kind of you're in some smooth water at this point in time. All right. Please, if you do have questions, the emails have been good. I think I've been able to keep up with any questions through there. Most of the questions could have been answered by sending you a link. A lot of the questions can be answered by just coming to these streams and just watching them. Last week, I got cut off during your stream, and I apologize for that, because I played that video, and I got to watch out how much that I put up, because I don't want to get into the they basically just cut me off, because if you're using some kind of media, live media, they want to make sure that you own it and things like that. But they had to cut me off. I do have a link onto I record all these. Like right now it's recording. These are all recorded by me, so I have access to these at all times. So I record every single thing I do. All right, I think that's it. It's 11:23. I think I'm going to be finished with you guys for the rest of the day. Please, like I said, if you do have questions, please check with me through email. A lot of people have been messaging me through Canvas, which is awesome, because it does send me notifications. I appreciate that, and I usually get right back to you. If I don't get back to you right away, it's odd, but it might happen occasionally. But I usually try to answer them as they come in. Actually, if I'm sitting in my car somewhere, I pull over and answer your question if I can, because I don't want it to sit around. And I know that if you do have a question, it's something that you need to have because maybe you're working on it at that point. So, all righty. But probably next week, the last live stream, it'll be short. I think the entire live stream might only be an hour at the most. It could be shorter. All right. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. Get on that assignment, get that quiz done, and you are home free. It has been a trying time for all of us, but I think I'm sick of hearing that too. This time of uncertainty. Oh man. The only thing the only things that are certain in this life, right? Death and taxes. All right. So anyway, check through that technology information. Check this video out. This video down here, I posted. This is a video from Crash Course. They've been updating all their videos, so this is a really good one. And I like to watch videos just like that. I like to watch them with no sound on, just like that. And I like to read. Now that's not Tom Green, so must be his cousin. Anyway, I think he owns this, or he's a partner in this owning of the stream. So he's probably sitting on a beach right now, going, "Man, I got this ready." There he is, right there. My learning is important. All right, so I'm gonna kill it right there. Please, like I said, please keep on this stuff. This is it. The answer will be, if you do have something that you need to make up, is just to do it. Do a resubmission. If you got partial credit on something, then get full credit on it. Okay, check the comments. Now, I don't always have a chance to write on directly on what that you do, but I can annotate over it many times to give you some clues about what I'd like to see more. Usually, it's just you just don't give enough information. You just create short summaries, and you don't do a good job describing to me what you know, and that's the whole purpose of writing to me. It's just hey, this is what I learned. This is what I learned new. And you might even start learning at how to answer questions like that. Mr. Goebel, I learned this. This is what I learned this time. These are the facts that I gleaned from that. And this is my top 5 because I have never had a kid turn in a video answer. That would be cool. This is my top 5, and this is why I think they're cool. And you can do that actually through here. You can actually record it and make a screencast, and this is why I like this one, and this is why history says it's important. All right. All righty, guys. It's only Tuesday, so get at it. Make some good ground, and get that grade that you want. You want to earn that grade. Okay, earn that grade. Get that A. There's really no reason why you can't. So there's zero reason why you can't pull off an A. I think you should just go do it. Just go for it. It's so easy. So easy. No packets, just a couple of easy assignments. And you can pull off an A for the quarter. Let's look back at the quarter really quick. I just want to do that here. Let me turn that off. I just want to look at the I just want to look back at I turned that off. I just want to look really quick at our assignments as I listed them. So here's the modules as I put them up right here. Week 1. Now look at that. Look at all those assignments I gave you. Rise of Christianity, Fall of Roman Empire, study for the test, take the classics. That was the big one. That was a tough week. Then I started giving you 2. Then I started to ease off right there. African trade kingdoms. This is where I lost time, guys. This is where I was not able to get past this stuff here, but I normally give us time. We usually do a project. We usually make a African trade mask, which is kind of fun, but we couldn't do that this time. There's all my old stuff down there. All right, guys, let's go. Let's get her done. Let's take care of that stuff, and we'll see you next Tuesday. And that's it. I'm saying right now too many times. Later and bye.
Some other ones like is because there was an actual like equipped German unit on the